Did you know that it's against the law to pay your mortgage, credit card loans, or bank loans? Yes, you heard that right. If you do pay them, you're breaking national and international law. If you take out loans under fractional banking, you're breaking the law. You heard that right. And I'm going to explain why. Bonded labour is a universally understood form of slavery. And slavery is illegal. It's against the law. Now, fractional banking, which almost all banks in the world operate, is a form of bonded labour. Human trafficking, arbitrary imprisonment, theft and murder are all crimes. Yet all these happen as a direct result of the economic activity, or more concisely, the fraudulent activity known as fractional banking. And it has been sanctioned and protected by false laws in governments and courts which are manipulated and run by the banksters. It is slavery. You do not have any obligation to pay, but actually you do have an obligation to yourselves and to your children to stop paying. It's in everyone's interest, including the banksters, that we stop perpetuating and complying with this system. Now, there are many ways to look at fractional banking, and I have included some links in the commentary under the video. Now, some theories attempt to make it seem lawful, but almost all agree it is clearly criminal counterfeiting. Even the banks themselves have admitted this over the years. One of the key things which helps the simple man understand it, that it is criminal, is inflation. And the fact that it is not people or people-controlled governments who control printing money, as one might assume, as I did before I found out different this year. But it is in fact private families and their associate businessmen, their con men. It is an international cartel of
mafia, banksters.
Now, as more paper money is created without value, the less it is worth. A loaf of bread was worth 18 cents in 1950s New York. It's now worth around about $2. No because it has increased 10 times in value. No because it has 10 times the vitamins and calories. No, anything but. And actually, it's less labour intensive due to automation. So, in fact, it should be cheaper. But it's not. It's 10 times more expensive. And that is because there is more counterfeit money in circulation. So the money is worth less because so much has been issued by the banks, and you need more to pay for the same item. Now, the banks robbed the world in 2007 with the inside job, which the politically correct call the economic downturn. But remember this, the world still had exactly the same resources. But yet, the actions of the banks forced millions of people into absolute poverty virtually overnight. So it's got nothing to do with resources. It's all about the bank's manipulation of people. They killed millions and forced millions out of their homes and into starvation. And while I'm on the point, the chemical weapons in Syria and the slaughter of the Muslim Brotherhood in Nazar City were both done by mercenaries paid huge sums of money by private banksters in order to create war, to create more debt, more suffering and more instability. Because that's where they make their money. Now, the USA, the debt ceiling fiasco, demonstrates clearly how it will continue until people say, enough, we're not playing this game anymore. Because the debt can never be paid off. It can only be cancelled. Because in order to pay it off, more money must be created. But then, that money must be paid off because it's issued with interest. So if you wanted more money to pay that off, it too would have to be paid off because it would have interest. And it's a never-ending cycle. It's not only daft, it's criminal, and people suffer. Now, it's very clever for the tiny percentage of people who profit from the interest, but it's absolutely daft for the 99 point whatever percentage of people who work, sweat, tears and blood to give most of their wages and property to these bank billionaires for pieces of paper. Now, stop and complain will not cause economic disaster, but rather it will boost economic activity beyond anything we can ever imagine. Some banksters may initially try to block economic activity, but with the internet, a whole new system of finance can be created overnight if they dare try. We have the technology and we can wipe out global poverty in one day. And we don't need any political establishment to sanction it. All the resources in the world can be calculated and divided up equally between every living person on the planet. Some people already have calculated figures, and a digital system of credit can be issued in a single day via computers and mobile phones. Which means that one day soon, a banker may go to sleep in the penthouse in Manhattan with hundreds of billions of dollars in assets, while under the same moon, a young 14-year-old single mother may go to sleep in a ditch in Kibera with her children having to sleep beside feces and rats with nothing. Yet tomorrow, the day after, they wake up both with money worth something like $9,000, which many people on the internet calculated to be if all the money was equally distributed. Now, no soldier, no freedom fighter, no politician or police officer will have any incentive or reason to obey the banks if they call for war or police brutality or assassinations, because the banksters will no longer have any currency to offer. Now, to the bankster or any other rich people, $9,000 may seem like a small amount, but remember, you keep your house and your personal possessions. Apart from things like rental property and limited companies, which will become free residences for people living there, and cooperatives co-owned by the employees. Because all oil, gas, metals, minerals, land, electricity and other natural resources were created by God to be shared equally, and will become, if not immediately, very soon, free and equally owned. Now for that young mother, when she wakes up, she can take her children on either cheap or free transport to wherever she wishes to go, whether that be to her father in her old village, or to maybe a sister in Manhattan. She may take residence in a beautiful house where one is vacant, or be given the raw materials needed to build one. She may have to pay for the labour, but probably with so much goodwill on that day and every day thereafter, she will undoubtedly have lots of offers from people willing to do it for free, out of love. And that's the way it should be, as God intended. Charities already do free work in all kinds of industry, from farming to house building and manufacturing things like wheelchairs and tools all throughout the world. The main reason why many people don't do more charity work is because they're tied to jobs to repay debt. Some charities have waiting lists for volunteers who want to work. Now, travel will be initially very cheap or even free, because remember, the fuel is co-owned, and people love flying planes, people love working as hostesses, driving trains and buses, so people will eventually do such work that they have always done, or that have always dreamed of doing, because they love it, and they love their fellow man and woman, not for pay. Soon there'll be no need for passports, or visas, or border control, because there's no financial advantage by moving anywhere. Yet people will travel, simply because they love to travel. People will work the land to grow crops and pick fruit for free, because they love it. They already do so for family and through groups like woofers. But now, the onus is firmly with the bondholders, with the shareholders, with the banks and the credit companies, to cancel the debt and work with the people. All debt. Now people, be brave and do not fear the banks. You have a right to be free. God put you on this world to enjoy your life. Now when I began my video log in December 2011, which is now nearly 2 years ago, one of the first things I said was a message God sent to the world, and it's this: to he who forgives the debt owed to him, I will pay what he owes me. This is of course a generic term, which goes for women also. Now, at that time, I didn't understand it, but in July this year, 2013, I came across an article about a wonderful, brave, beautiful woman called Kerry in New Zealand who had stood up to the banks. And from there, I found out about Mary Elizabeth Croft and her book and the One People's Public Trust, both of which have their shortcomings, but both of which are very helpful in becoming educated. So, I educated myself and I now understand God's message. So, I will paraphrase it for you, and it's this: you are either for slavery or you're against it. Those who hold the chains, let go now, or else suffer the consequences. If you're in debt or bondage, you have the right to demand to be released. Now, in my other videos, I have revealed how I performed many miracles. I am the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, back as foretold to reveal what has been hidden and to prepare the world for the day of judgment and the resurrection of the dead. Yes, for the resurrection of the dead. Now, as ridiculous as that may seem in this age of bad science, some good science, but a lot of bad science, I assure you, mankind has no idea of the power of God, has no idea about spiritual science and the spirit world, and I do not make promises I can't keep. Now, I advise you, watch my videos and put on your spiritual seatbelt and hold on tight. This roller coaster is going to be wild once it begins moving. Some will laugh with every thrill, others will scream in fear, others may vomit, but it's all good, except for the tiny percentage of the stubbornly wicked who stupidly refuse to adhere to my seatbelt warning and who end up getting thrown off. That's their own choice. Me, I'm looking forward to it. Now, just before I finish, I remind you, regardless of what you think of me, whether you think I'm deluded, whether you think I'm some kind of self-appointed joker, I assure you, I'm not. But regardless, the law is the law. Bonded labour is slavery. If you perpetuate it, you are breaking the law. So peace, love, truth. Nano. See you around, folks.